Another way we can strive to achieve this is through efficiency. So every way and every dollar we save while maintaining the same level of service improves the value proposition to the resident. We need to focus in this area to improve value proposition, to save the resident money and to secure the value of their home. Clearly, this is a win-win scenario in every aspect of this we can do. Next slide, please. Quick map of the capital region, and as you can see, this is roughly, I'll try and down to Leduc, this is roughly a 1-hour commuter shed within the city of Edmonton. So people that live mostly within here can get back and forth to work and home and where they're going to play within an hour. So this is the competitive market that we're in. So when you look at some of these municipalities like Fort Saskatchewan, Spruce Grove, Stony Plain, Sherwood Park, Leduc, how do we size up? And when there's a prospective resident that comes to Edmonton, how do we size up versus them for cost and value? It's a key question to ask. And in order to maintain the value of everyone's homes in St. Albert, we've got to think about that. Right next door to us, just in the northeast, we have a low tax jurisdiction in Sturgeon County that does the exact opposite of us. They provide low services and very low taxes. So how do we compete with that when you've got somebody right in your doorstep that's doing the exact opposite to you, being a low-cost leader? Just earlier today, we learned that, I believe it's this corner right here, this corner right here, Villeneuve, someone's got a proposal to build 6,500 homes in Villeneuve. Now, I'm going to ask you, why would they do that when we have all the annexed land that's vacant? I mean, that's a key question to ask, and it speaks to competition within the region. Next slide, please. Just a basic supply and demand curve. We'll go through this quickly. As you increase the price of things, you decrease the quantity sold, and in turn that affects the value of people's homes. So if you think this is the taxes we charge and we're going to increase the cost, it doesn't have to be taxes, it could be anything else that increases the cost of living here. There becomes less demand. Next slide, please. Now this is just the same graph with a variety of scenarios. Now within government there's things you can do to shift these bars. Councillor Bracco likes to talk about an LRT. Well, perhaps if we did have one in St. Albert, that would broaden the demand curve and more people would want to move here and they'd be willing to pay more. But unless you have ideas like that and you're simply going from day to day and providing services that benefit 10% of the population where 100% pay, you're not really going to shift that demand curve. Next slide, please. Quick solutions. One solution I'm proposing today is that we cap the tax rate for the upcoming budget year at 1.5% to improve the value proposition for residents. So I'm not sure we can do much more in the area of spending to increase value, and this is the best way to increase value for all our residents that live here in St. Albert. Let's continue to find efficiencies in government services, as we've been doing for the previous year and a half. Let's reduce the 90-10 spending propositions and focus on broad-based value propositions. Let's find economies of scale. Let's work with our neighbors in order to do so as well. Additionally, let's improve the tax split. I realize that's going to be difficult, but let's work on that as well. And final and last slide, Mr. Belke, and thank you for your assistance. So in the future, this is a motion that's only lasting for 1 year, and it will affect the budget. Might not affect the end result, as anyone can bring forward a motion at that budget to increase that. How I interpret this is we'll get a budget back that's 1.5%, and I'm certainly going to argue to keep it there, but everyone at budget time, they're on council as well and has just as much say as I do. But this motion is a start. We can use this as a start to set the tax rate below or at inflation in the future to improve our comparative advantage in the region. We can use this as an opportunity to let residents have more of their own money. We can use this as an opportunity to improve the value of all of residents' homes that live here in St. Albert. And it's an opportunity to improve the city of St. Albert. In all my life, we've been very successful in this community by expanding and growing and building the services, and we have a fabulous community, and we all enjoy that. However, at this stage of the life cycle of our city, we're now mature. what new services can we provide that will increase the value proposition for Joe and Jane Blow living here in St. Albert? I believe this is one way that we can improve that value for them. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Good presentation. Comments by any other member of council? That's opening comments. Councillor Herron, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Councillor McKay. On your very first page, when you were comparing the tax rates, I have two questions. Did you look at what other municipalities' percent increases were to compare to St. Albert?
Okay, thank you. Yes, that kind of comes in at the next slide.
No, I'm just talking about tax increases.
For when?
For the last, you've got 12 years here. Because I would argue that our tax increases has been the lowest in the region every year.
For 12 years? Here they are. Here's the tax increases for 12 years. Now, I can guarantee you that we were not the lowest in the region for those 12 years. We've had some success here at 2001. Couple, yeah. And, you know, indeed, in the last 2 years, we've done well. But for that entire 12-year period, no, we haven't. Basically, you know, there's some years in the middle here where we're near the top, and there's some where we're lower. Okay. It's just an accumulation of things over the years. And but your point about the last two is correct. We have been in the lower tier.
Thank you. Did you compile the last 12 years of the municipal price index instead of the consumer price index?
No, I have not compiled the last 12 years of municipal price index. That's a recent advent. Yeah. Municipal price index only goes back 5 years, and it's essentially something that we came up with here with the City of St. Albert. It's a Bill Holtby invention. And, you know, honestly, I never put a lot of stock in it because it tries to look at things that really don't matter to the resident. And I'm trying to look at things from the resident's perspective. It may be an accurate comparison for the municipality to look at the price of gravel and dirt and asphalt, but for the person living in this town, they don't care. They know what they're making and they know what things cost them.
Yeah, and I can understand that. On your third page of your presentation, you have the tax split at 89-11. That's actually our assessment split. Our tax split is 83-17.
You're correct, and I prepared this morning, so okay, you're absolutely correct on that.
You know what, we don't need to get into a lot of debate over this. Good presentation, Councillor McKay.
Councillor Broadhead.
Thank you. I too commend you on the work that you've done, Councillor McKay. You're passionate about your philosophy, and I commend you for that. Just a couple of things. I certainly do agree that people live where they see value, and the country recognizes St. Albert as being a valuable place. As a matter of fact, we rank consistently high in the best places to live in the country. So I don't want to lose sight of that. I think one thing that we're always up against, irrespective of how we frame the argument, the reality of it is that we still do business in a world, and if we want to continue to do business the way we continue to do it, we're faced with the pressures of inflation. And so if you say we're going to be doing less than inflation, then what you are saying is that we're going to be doing less of what we did last year. Unless you can squeeze the municipal ball of services that we do and say we're going to take this bucket of services and we're going to provide it, we're going to squeeze it some more, and we're going to provide the same level of service for less money. And I'm suggesting to you that you squeeze and squeeze until eventually you can't squeeze no more. And the reality of it is, while we'll continually try to be more efficient in how we do business, the reality of it is that our basket of goods and services will cost more in 2013 than they do today. So how do we manage that when we're saying we're going to ask the people of St. Albert for less money, and that sounds so good. I mean, it plays so good when it goes out on the airwaves that we're going to only get 1.5. But what we also need to say is that that basket of goods and services that we provide isn't going to be as full next year. And so I would suggest that people come to St. Albert and they love living here because of the basket of goods and services that we do provide. So we need to be upfront when we say we're going to give them a tax increase of less than inflation, because what we're saying then is that we'll only ask for this much money, but by the way, the quid pro quo is we're not going to give you as much of the services that you had last year. So I think there's that aspect that we need to be upfront. Thirdly, I'm just going to finish on this particular statement. Both my kids, they're not rich, we're not rich, but they found a way to own a home in St. Albert. And so they went out to row-hit communities and in the city of Edmonton, and they went out and they were taking a look at a house, and they went and talked to the real estate agent, and the sales pitch was just like living in St. Albert. And I'm saying, well, why would they say that? Because people in this region look at St. Albert as a valuable place to live. And people that come here understand that we have wide streets, we have lots of trees. I mean, we spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on making our community beautiful. And that's why we are rated as high as we are. And I'm just saying that as we go forward and we make statements as a council about how we're going to manage our community understands that it costs in order to provide the city that we live in. We need to be upfront with them then when we make motions like this, that if we take less, then you get less over here. And on the other hand, some of the things you said were very good. I appreciate it, and thanks for your comment.
Councillor Brackle.